this agenda is going to go through two parts of the new system. Some of it's functional features, and other parts of it's some of the new reporting and customization features, which are all the nice, pretty things. So, excuse me, basically what I want to do is just go through some of the basic new features that have come through, especially with the approvals part, accounts payable and expense receipts. Previously, we couldn't do any approval processing on accounts payable, but now we have a new feature that allows us to do approvals on bills and also expense receipts coming through the system so that we can approve the expense receipts, especially using the new app. The Go-To app. There's new features in relation to the child-parent enhancements in the system. Basically, you'll be able to link the credit balance on the parent company to the child account so that you don't have to continually update the child accounts with their credit facilities. It'll all link directly through. Changes to customers in sales orders. That's a really nice feature that's come through, where you'll be able to, if you create a sales order or a sales quote and you've put the wrong customer on there, you're now able to change that customer on the quote before it's actually actioned for either converting to a sales order or to shipment. You can use that feature also if you wanted to copy a completed quote and reuse it. You can then change the customer on the sales order. The other feature that's come through is also the two-step transfer for partial receipting, where previously when you're doing transfers in the system, the receipts, you could only receipt the total amount. Now we can actually do partial receipting. So you might only receive in 2 of the items, the other one's gone missing in transit somewhere, so you can actually do partial receipting. So on the other side of it, on the customization for the dashboards, we've actually got changes to our dashboards to give us some new features, KPI features, total advance features, linking into generic inquiries more so, and being able to do some extra features on our generic inquiries and some pivot tables. The pivot tables are basically what we do. We download to Excel and do our pivot table reporting in Excel. We can now do that in Advanced and create a pivot table there. So basically, I just want to start from the beginning, I guess. Let's go in here, back into my company. I've got a company file set up in here, and this is these are some of the new dashboards that have actually been set up in the system, and you can see here there's some new features rolling around on the screen, plus some comparisons and some timelines and some drill downs. But I'll come back to those later on. Sorry, I'm just going to bring that back over to my screen. Lost my mouse. There we go. Okay, so firstly I wanted to go through the approval parts, the new functionality for approvals. On accounts payable, in the accounts payable setup, we have on our configuration, now we have in our preferences an approvals tab. So what this means is that we can set up in here where we require approval on bills or other features in the system. So say, for instance, a particular customer, you need to have approval on that customer to be able to use them. We can set up the required approvals on our preferences here. Once that's set up, we can then go to our organisation and set up our approval maps. So in our approval maps, I've actually done a little bit of setup previously, and I've set up one for bills, where for a particular bill, bills, anything over $1,000 in a bill will require approvals. So down here I've set it up so that the bills can get approved by Andrew, and down here I've set my configuration, my conditions, where the amount of the bill is greater than $1,000. So the way that works is now if I go to Finance, Accounts Payable, Bills and Adjustments, if I set up a bill, and I've got a couple sitting in here, normally my bills will come through and they'll be on hold. So this particular bill I've got set up, it's got a total of, that doesn't look real good. Let's have a look at the tax and take that off. That's better. Okay, so I've saved that. My bill is on hold. As soon as I take it off hold, it goes to pending approval. So it means it has to go through the approval process. Okay, so that somebody has to approve it for payment to be made. It's a good feature to have. We previously didn't have this, so it will really, really help manage your payments, your bills. We can set up different types of approval settings, but we need to be very careful in that respect that we don't cross over the rules of our bills. So when we're doing it, we'll do some proper configuration testing to make sure. On the other side, for those of you that are using the expense claims, time and expense receipts, some people are using the GoTo app, the new phone app that MYOB has that links directly into the receipting process. Again, underneath my organisational structure, I've set up, I'll just save that one. And if I'm going too fast, Brian, if you're still online, can just tell me to slow down a little bit?
No, fine, yeah.
Okay. Hi, April.
Hello.
Can you just mute your phone for me?
No, my phone.
Yes, just mute. Put it on mute. Thanks.
Mute.
Okay, so yeah, underneath the bills, underneath the approval settings, I've actually got one set up for time and expenses, so that when an expense claim is put into the system, we need somebody to approve it, and where the expense receipt is greater than $50. That way then we can manage what's going through our expenses. Our expense claims can be managed a lot easier. So underneath organisation, time and expenses, if I enter an expense receipt, I've got one sitting here that's pending approval at the moment for Michael Andrews. And you'll notice here it's pending approval for mobile phone expenses. Here's $60. And we've actually attached the image, which is a really handy feature to have now to be able to load your images up. This can all be done from the app, and it actually loads straight into MYOB. So the expense claims, and it goes through for pending approvals. So on the approval side of things, it's really good to have that for the claims, for your expense claims as well. So your receipts, your claims, employee time cards, if you're using time cards for projects, time activities, etc. We can set all of the configuration up for that. These are new features that have come into the system. Okay, so the next part of it that I wanted to cover was to do with the customers, the change of sales orders. So if I'm looking at distribution and my sales orders, I've got maybe a sales order in the system here that I've created for Apostle, for Church of Apostles, and then I've realised, oh no, that's the wrong customer. I can actually now change this customer back to somebody, to the correct customer, and it will go through a little bit of a lag to see that it's going through to check, because it might have some additional pricings or discounts applied to this customer, which will be applied to the order when it changes over. Okay, so from a quote as well, so say for instance I wanted to create this particular order as a quote to somebody else, I can actually just copy it. So I can go copy, and then I can go create a new document, set it up as a quote, paste my document in. It will paste in with the one that I have actually copied. but I can then change that, save it. I can save it. And you'll notice that the customer doesn't blank out. And normally it would blank out, but now in this system it doesn't. So I can now change this to boulder earth moving and save. So the ability to use multiple quotes, multiple orders to copy across is a really handy feature. Or if you make a mistake when you're doing it, it's a really, really handy feature to come across. Excuse me for coughing, just fighting a little bit. The other features that I wanted to show too was the partial receipting. So let's just go back to my screen here. So we've had a look at the approval side of things. Parent-child on the customers, that's what we'll cover. Okay, so within our customer base for accounts receivable, a lot of customers have parent-child relationships in the system. So say, for instance, so say, for instance, AMRO is a parent account, okay? They've got a credit limit of $5,000 on their account, but all of their child accounts also have that $5,000 available. Okay, so in my billing features here, you'll see that because it's a parent account, the parent facility is grayed out, but their child account is actually listed under this new tab called Child Accounts. And you'll see here that Rightcorn is a child account. So I could actually open up Rightcorn and you can see here that this is account, they actually have a credit limit feature here of $5,000, but notice that you can't change that because we've set the billing up, the billing features up so that the information consolidates the balance to AMROC. The statements get consolidated and the share credit facility is also featured. If I didn't share the credit facility, then I would be able to set a credit limit for each individual child. A lot of work involved in that sometimes, especially when you're dealing with large corporations that have multiple child accounts. Okay, so using that facility, then I can actually look at some of my reports. If I go back here to my balance reports, say my customer, my AR balance by customer report, you'll notice that all of the reports now that relate to the child accounts have got this feature at the bottom called Consolidate Data by Parent Account. If I click on that and then I type in AMROC here and run the report, you'll see it'll show you the information for AMROC and also for Rightcorn, any invoices that are related to that. So it gives you a really good feature to be able to see all of your child accounts underneath the parent account. It also works in relation to our dunning letters. So if we're running dunning letters on the system, to prepare our dunning letters, it would prepare them also in a consolidated format. Same with our statements. Our statements can be consolidated as well under the parent accounts. Okay, so just having a look back at our little slide to see if I've missed anything in that part of it. Parent-child changes to customers and sales orders, and the two-step transfer. So previously in the transfers, when we were doing from our distribution side of things, inventory into the transfers, I was doing a transfer. Let's create a new transfer. And I'm going to transfer some stock from Auckland over to Melbourne. I want to add some information in here, so I'm going to add an item. And I'm going to select 6 of those, 1 of those, and 3 of those. I'm going to add those to my transfer. I'm going to save. Whoops. It's a 2-step transfer, not a 1-step. So it's a 2-step transfer, which means I have to ship and I have to receipt. Okay, so I'm going to save. What am I missing here? My error. Serial number. Okay, just for the exercise, I'll get rid of those 2. Just use this one. See if I can add in a different item. It's not available in there. Okay. Okay, so basically what happens is you can actually change the quantity. So on our 2-step transfer, once you do the receiving side, if the goods didn't come in, we would be able to change the quantity to what we actually received, which would leave a balance. Release that. Okay, so the quantity received, when we release it, we've received currently at the moment, we've got a shipment out. We haven't received any goods in, so we would go and do our receipt and we can partially receipt them. We don't have to do a full receipting. Okay, so I'm just going to have a quick look. Like I said before, if you have any questions as we go through, please put them in the chat so that I can come back to you later on, or if you want, just send us some email so that we can cover anything that's specific to your company. Okay, going through forward from there. Okay, we're just going to have a look now at some of the nice features that have come through, the changes in the dashboards and how to make changes to your dashboards, how to look at your generic inquiries and create a pivot table. Okay, so if I just go back to my main screen here, this is my company screen. This has my company dashboard, which opens up when I open up. But what we've been able to do also is to create dashboards for each of the sections. So they all come up underneath the organizational, and we have company dashboards, which are for all different areas of the system. So if I was looking, for instance, at shipping and inventory, I've got my shipping and inventory dashboard, which shows me what orders are there to ship, what purchase orders to receipt, what POs are late, shows my sales orders and my PO receipts from here. So if I clicked on say, for instance, this one here, which is locked, I can change these by clicking on design. Now this means that you would have to have the feature to be able to design the dashboards, and I recommend that somebody who's sort of au fait with the system be able to do that. So I could create what we call a new widget to add into this particular screen. So if I go here, add a widget, and say, for instance, I want to display a chart. And from my inquiry screens that have already been preset, I can actually find one that's sales orders, and so, for instance, where are we? Just do an AR summary. So we can look at an AR summary. The AR summary will give us information about customers. I can do it as a bar chart or a donut. So I can look by account ID, which is my customers, and I want to see the ending balance on the customers. I can give it a and this gives me a bar chart, a donut chart to show me who is my most prolific customer. Looks like CompuWorld in this particular case. So these are just quick and easy features to give you some flexibility on what to know, what your system's doing. Once I click off the design here, it actually shows me the chart stays there, okay? So what you can do with these is you can actually link them to your different areas. So say, for instance, here the shipping and inventory under here. By customizing that particular screen, I've now added it onto my shipping and inventory in my distribution area. So I don't have to go directly to the home screen or the company screen. I've actually got it here on my shipping. These screens can be actually default as your user login. So when somebody's working in the shipping area, we can log them straight into this particular screen so they can see, oh, these are all the sales orders that are ready to ship. These are all purchase orders ready to receive. So doing that basically by configuring our users, we can set up their personal settings so their home page goes to that particular screen. So when the user actually logs in, they can default into their home page. They don't have to see everything else, just what they need to be able to do. I'll just come back out of there. Some other features that you've got in relation to this is basically these particular screens here are what we call the time cards. So this compared to last year is like a time card widget, which actually gives you a comparison of whether you're up or down on your sales from this year to last year. This the yellow widget on the side here is what we call a scorecard. It shows me what my sales are to date for the year. There's a few other little features in here that I'm not going to go into every single one. The data tables, these little screens here are what we call data tables. And also you can have an embedded widget. So if you wanted to have a link direct to, say, a website for, especially for your sales and inventory, and you want to link directly to, say, for instance, the shipping companies, so that you can actually set up all the shipments directly for their con notes and information, that can all be linked in directly to the web page, to the widget. All nice things in there. You can play with them. If I click down here, for instance, on CompuWorld, it'll take me straight to sales and information, account summary, but it gives me what's called a drill down applied. So the drill down applied is basically going to show me, okay, this is all CompuWorlds, whereas all the records in the particular query show me all records. What I've clicked on now is just CompuWorld. And it's opened it in a new tab at the top of the screen, you can see here. So I could then go back here and I can go, okay, well, what's right corner got? Again, it'll open up in a separate screen for you and show you right corn sales. All the standard features apply, so you don't have to create your own drop-down filters. The system is actually doing it for you. Some nice functionality. If I have a look here at all of this information, the all record side of things, I can also create what we know as a pivot table. So if I click on the customization screen here and I click on pivot table, it brings you up the actual design of the pivot table so that you can say, okay, I want to see all accounts and I want to see them by financial period and I want to see the balances. And if I click, I have to give it a name, so I can say accounts by period. Click on Save. And then I can view my pivot table. And it will show me all my sales, all my customers, and their sales by period. We could pull this off, and it will just give me a total. If we take the periods out, so I can pull the filter out, so I can just see my totals, or I can put my periods back in. It shows me a total account by period. Refresh. Okay. What are you doing? I'll just redo that one. Pivot table. And view the pivot. And there we go. I've got my. It actually saves the pivot table for you. These are actually saved underneath the summaries. And if I go back here to my company file, under my system here, customization area, you'll see I've got my pivot tables here, I've got dashboards, and I've got my generic inquiries. Now, your generic inquiries are simply reports or screen-to-screen reports that give you a list of information. So say, for instance, here, there's my account summary query. It's just looking at information from my AR history and giving me result information based on what I want. These are all features that we can actually take you into the next stage of learning for your own systems. And some of these we're going to set up as webinars to take you through how to create a generic inquiry, how to look at the information and then put it on the screen. Some of the generic inquiries are standard in the system. A lot of these are like when you're looking at your customer information and customer details. That sort of information is all customer summary. These are basically generic inquiries, the system-generated ones, so that you can actually view information. But from that, you can... No, you can't. I thought you could take a generic inquiry. But you can actually export this information out. But why do that when you can actually do a generic inquiry and bring it back and have it on the screen all the time? Excuse me. Okay, so just doing a little bit of a recap. I've gone a little bit fast in the system, so I've just put the floor open to anyone that's got any questions. Is there any questions in here? Can't see any. How do I see the chat? No? If you want to take your phones off mute, you can ask me a question, and I can see what I can, if I can answer them for you. Can anybody hear me? Like I said, this is our first webinar, so it's a bit different for me. But if anybody's got any questions they want to ask in relation to what we've covered this morning. No?
No. It would be good to go over, to listen to your webinar again. How will you distribute that? Will you send it out by email or load it onto YouTube?
We usually load them up on the on our website. Okay. We can.
Yeah, fantastic.
Or we can send you a link. We can send you a link to that so that you can listen to it again.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I just would like to go over it in my own time.
I have to admit, I did the same thing when I had the MYOB ones. They send out a link to it, and I go back over it and over it so that I've got information there. But yeah, absolutely. Any queries or questions, please don't hesitate. Come back to me.
Fantastic.
Okay. If no more questions, thank you all very much for attending. And yeah, well, we will be sending out another one, sort of a little bit more in depth and you know, sort of set you up. Hopefully we can do these about every 6 weeks for advanced.
Brilliant.
I have put up a question. I've put up a question on the chat.
Oh, did you? Here we go.
Parent-child relationship. So we have one account at the moment that has about 50-odd stores that we could make child stores off that. Is that possible to do it like with existing accounts?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I was looking at the parent-child accounts in here, the one I was looking at here, AMROC, say for instance they brought on another child account to their system. If you click onto here, you can see they're already linked. But if you load up the actual child account, and on here, just go to the billing section, and then click on here and load into AMROC. And then you can say, okay, the balances are going to consolidate to AMROC so that the statement's consolidated and their credit facility is also shared. So then when I save, if I look at the child account, I've got my $5,000 credit limit on that child account. Then
okay, so when you, so when you run a statement for the parent account, it itemises each child account individually on it as well still? Yeah. Okay. Terrific.
Yeah, that all still stays the same. So yeah, that will all work. It just gives the credit facilities, it's just a credit validation thing, which is always a lot to manage when you've got a lot of child accounts. So it makes it a lot easier. Then the other thing that is really, really good is if, for instance, on AMROC, the credit facility changes and they increase it to, say, $6,000, you don't have to go and change all the child accounts. They automatically change to $6,000. So you don't have, you're just managing it in one place, not everything.
Okay.
Yep, that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did have another question. So with the copying the quotes now, so we could have, what I'm thinking that we could use that for is have a basic ranging quote set up that we could just provide to a lot of customers as an option to buy into the basic range of that brand, for example.
Yes, you could.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, that would work. And then you just use that as a base. What I do is set up a customer, just as a like one particular customer that you just don't use, like the in-house one or something, and then set up multiple orders on that or quotes, and then you can use those as a base range.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. All right, thank you. So our reps could log into them remotely?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Using the app and the features, yes.
Okay. Yep. All right, terrific. And has there been some information provided about the app?
I actually looking at doing our next session is going to be part of the GoTo app. So the next webinar we do will be the GoTo, so that we can actually show you the app, because there's a lot of features on there in relation to the CRM functionalities of the system, which I don't think a lot of customers use, but you can have all the links into the leads, the cases, the opportunities, all that sort of thing.
So how soon will you be doing that, do you think?
Probably, I wouldn't be doing it before Easter, but if we have any information, if you want to send us an email, we can send you some information about it on the web. But yeah, I'm looking at probably early May that we'll do.
Okay, that'll be awesome. Beautiful.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much. That was great.
Thank you. Everyone else? I think everyone's gone. No. Thank you all very much for attending, and like I said, any information you want, just send us an email, and we'll follow it through.
And will you have thank you.
Thank
Glenda,
you.
Will you have a link somewhere about the how to review this?
How to process this?
No, how to review it. What you recorded
we'll send you a link.
Okay. Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.